24 hours. That's all the time these caterpillars need to turn your garden into a green graveyard. You go to bed with everything perfect, leaves shining, tomatoes starting to swell, lettuce looking beautiful, corn with a tight whorl, and when the sun comes up, you find skeletons, bare veins, chewed stalks, as if a whole army had marched across everything. It wasn't an accident. The English name says it exactly. Armyworm, the caterpillar of the army. Because when one shows up, hundreds follow. And they don't stop. They advance in formation, in a straight line, eating everything green in front of them. I'm going to show you in this video a liquid that very few growers know about. A liquid that kills more than 90% of these caterpillars in less than a day. And the most incredible part, it's not a chemical poison from a shelf. It comes from the earth, from a bacterium that was forgotten for decades inside a rum barrel in the Caribbean. Before we open this vault, if these stories matter to you, the best way to preserve this wisdom is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share these vaults with those who need to remember what we forgot. The secret of this liquid begins with a discovery that happened by pure accident. 1985, Caribbean. A scientist from the Eli Lilly laboratory steps off a plane on an island to collect soil samples from an abandoned rum distillery. He was looking for new antibiotics. He didn't find them. Instead, he discovered a bacterium that had never been described in any microbiology textbook in the world. The name is hard, Saccharopolyspora spinosa, but what it does is simple. It produces a substance that paralyzes the nervous system of caterpillars in just a few hours, without harming bees that already returned to the hive, without harming ladybugs, without harming earthworms in the soil, without leaving residue on the fruit you'll harvest. This liquid has a name. It's called spinosad. And it's probably the closest thing to a surgical weapon you can use against the fall armyworm in your garden or in your field. I prepared a complete reference guide with everything you need to know to apply this liquid the right way. Exact concentration by crop, ideal application time, mistakes that kill the product before it reaches the caterpillar, combinations that double the effectiveness. The link is pinned down there in the description. But stay with me, because what comes next is what nobody tells you at the farm supply store. Most growers still use what they learned 20 years ago. They spray pyrethroids. They spray organophosphates. They think it's solved because they saw caterpillars on the ground in the first hour. But what they don't know is that the fall armyworm has developed cross-resistance to 8 different chemical groups. Studies from Embrapa maize and sorghum show that populations of Spodoptera frugiperta no longer respond to field doses of insecticides that worked just 5 years ago. The caterpillar eats, vomits a little, twitches, and the next morning it's back eating again, healthier than before. Because you just killed everything that was its natural predator. Ladybugs, parasitoid wasps, ground spiders, earwigs, beneficial soil bacteria, all of it gone. And then it comes back stronger, with more offspring, and with fewer enemies to hold back the next generation. Spinosad works in a completely different way, and that's why it solves what chemicals can't. It's not a pure contact poison. It acts on the caterpillar's nervous system in 2 ways at the same time. It attacks nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, and it activates GABA receptors, the 2 channels that control the caterpillar's muscle movement. The result is dramatic. In 2 to 4 hours, the caterpillar stops eating. It locks up, it stays motionless, hanging from the leaf. In 12 to 24 hours, it dies. No agony, no chance to develop tolerance in that application cycle. Before we continue, tell me in the comments what country you're watching from. I'm curious how many growers around the world are discovering this at the same time. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the moment, because what I'm about to show you will change the way you look at every plant in your home. Before we dive into the exact concentrations you'll need to memorize, I have to warn you about one important thing. Everything I'm about to explain now, plus another 15 techniques that don't fit in this video, I compiled into a complete reference guide. 16 pages, dosage tables by crop, application schedule by season, combinations with Bacillus thuringiensis, visual signs of resistance, all organized for you to print and take to the field in your shirt pocket. The link is pinned in the first line of the description of this video. Full access, permanent, no subscription fee. Now let's get to what really matters. The concentration that works for a home garden is between half a milliliter and 1 milliliter of concentrated spinosad per liter of water. For a cornfield, the technical recommendation varies, 70 to 150 milliliters of commercial product per hectare, depending on the formulation. But the detail nobody talks about is the timing of the application. Spinosad is destroyed by ultraviolet light. If you spray at 10 in the morning, half the molecule is already gone by noon. You need to spray when the sun is going down, between 5 in the afternoon and 7 at night, or very early, before the sun rises with full strength. That's the first reason growers think the product doesn't work. They applied it at the wrong time. The second reason is the spray water itself. Spinosad in water with a pH above 8 loses effectiveness within hours inside the tank. Before mixing, you add a few drops of white vinegar or a commercial pH regulator to bring the water to between 6 and 7. This alone increases effectiveness by up to 40%, according to tests from the University of Florida, published in 2023. Third detail, coverage. The fall armyworm hides inside the corn whorl, inside what looks like the heart of the plant. If you only spray on top, the product hits the outer leaf and never reaches where the caterpillar actually is. The spray needs enough pressure to penetrate, and the spray volume needs to be higher on young plants with closed whorls, 120 to 150 liters of spray solution per hectare. It's not overkill, it's the minimum for real whorl coverage. All of this, plus the complete pH compatibility table by product and crop, is in the reference guide at the link pinned in the description. Whoever goes to the field without this table loses applications. And losing applications means losing money and losing the treatment window. But there's a second liquid that few people know how to combine with spinosad. And this is where the strategy becomes definitive. This second liquid is alive. Literally. It's a suspension of bacteria. Its name is Bacillus thuringiensis. In short form, BT. The difference from spinosad is the mechanism. BT has to be eaten by the caterpillar to work. When the caterpillar ingests it, spores of the bacterium enter its stomach. The alkaline environment of the gut activates a toxin called delta endotoxin. This toxin punctures the wall of the caterpillar's stomach from the inside out. It stops eating within hours of the first bite, and it dies within 24 to 72 hours from septicemia and starvation combined. The strain you want for armyworms specifically is Bacillus thuringiensis kerstaki. The label will say BTK. Other strains target different insects, so reading the label matters. The brilliant detail is that BT is specific. It only acts on lepidopteran larvae, on butterflies and moths in their larval stage. It doesn't affect bees. It doesn't affect ladybugs. It doesn't affect fish. It doesn't affect humans. It doesn't affect dogs or cats. It's the most widely used product in certified organic agriculture in the world, and at the same time, the most underused in home gardens. When you combine spinosad with BT, two different attacks happen at the same time on the same caterpillar. Spinosad attacks the nervous system through contact and ingestion. BT attacks the gut through ingestion and leads to septicemia. The result is mortality above 95%, even in populations resistant to conventional chemicals. Studies published in 2025 show exactly this synergistic effect in the field. Now, for this strategy to truly work, you need to understand the biological cycle of the caterpillar. A female Spodoptera frugiperta lays between 100 and 200 eggs per cluster, and she lays more than one cluster. In 10 days of adult life, she spreads more than 1,500 eggs across your garden or your field. The complete cycle from egg to adult moth takes about 30 to 40 days, depending on temperature. In a single growing season, you can face 3 to 5 overlapping generations. The eggs hatch in 3 to 5 days. The small caterpillars and the first 3 larval stages are the most vulnerable to spinosad. After the 4th stage, they become harder to control because they enter the whorl deeper, eat more aggressively, and develop a thicker cuticle that resists penetration. The earlier you catch them, the lower the dose needed. Lower cost, greater effect, greater safety margin. That's why monitoring is step 0 of any serious management. Don't wait for the leaf to disappear before you act. Look under the leaves every day. Look for eggs in white or yellowish masses, usually covered with scales that look like mold. Look for small scraped holes in the new leaves, lesions that look like little transparent windows on the leaf. Look for dark droppings that look like coffee grounds in the plant whorl. That's the most reliable sign that there's a caterpillar inside. When any of these 3 signs appear, you have between 48 and 72 hours to act before it becomes an out-of-control infestation. Correct spraying follows a tested sequence. First application when you detect the first signs. Spinosad in low concentration, alone. 5 to 7 days later, second application combining spinosad with BT in the same tank. 15 days later, monitor again. If there's still residual focus, third application of BT alone to catch the new generation without burning out the spinosad. This 3 application schedule over 3 weeks eliminates more than 98% of the infestation. And it doesn't create resistance because the mechanisms of action are different and complement each other. There's still a third biological ally that nobody teaches you at the farm supply store, Bovaria bassiana, an entomopathogenic fungus that colonizes the caterpillar's body from the outside in. It works best in humid environments. In greenhouses and gardens with night irrigation, it reaches up to 80% mortality on small larvae. Combined with spinosad and BT, you have a complete biological arsenal. 3 products, 3 modes of action. 0 documented cross-resistance. The cost of this strategy, compared to conventional chemical management, is lower. Integrated pest management programs published in 2024 show a 50 to 70% reduction in management cost per hectare, with corn yield increases of up to 30%. Because you're not killing the natural predators that help you all year. Trichogramma parasitoid wasps alone can eliminate up to 80% of eggs before they even hatch, but only if you didn't kill them with pyrethroids. Birds, lacewings, big-eyed bugs, and predatory ground beetles all eat caterpillars in different stages. A single healthy garden ecosystem can suppress 60 to 90% of pest pressure before you ever need to spray anything. For a home garden, the math gets even better. A 100 milliliter bottle of spinosad makes more than 100 liters of spray. It treats a 50 square meter garden for an entire season easily. Total cost per season, less than what you spend on a pizza for a product that replaces dozens of applications of heavy chemicals. But the final secret is this, and pay attention because almost nobody talks about this on video. Spinosad works best when the plant is healthy. Plants stressed by potassium deficiency, by nitrogen excess, by compacted soil, are magnets for the fall armyworm. The adult moth literally identifies the weak plant by the smell of volatile compounds and flies straight to it. Research from 2025 shows that egg laying increases by up to 60% in plants with nutritional imbalance, even in small areas. So the first defense isn't the liquid, it's soil health. Mulch with straw to reduce soil temperature swings and feed beneficial microbes. Regular composting to build organic matter. Crop rotation with non-host species like beans or brassicas to break the pest cycle. Balanced fertilization with potassium and calcium, both of which strengthen cell walls and make leaves harder for caterpillars to chew. Avoid excess nitrogen, which produces soft, dark green tissue that mariposas can detect from far away. Keeping soil pH between 6 and 7 so that potassium and calcium stay available to the roots. Do this first, apply the liquid second, and the result is cumulative. Each season gets easier than the last. There's one final detail that separates those who succeed from those who give up halfway. The choice of spray nozzle. Hollow cone nozzles produce fine droplets that cover the underside of the leaf well. That's where the caterpillar starts. Flat fan nozzles are good for horizontal coverage but bad for whorl penetration. For a home garden, a backpack sprayer with a cone nozzle adjusted to fine mist already solves it. You don't need expensive equipment. For a commercial field, the recommendation changes. Anti-drift nozzles with double angulation hit the whorl from 2 sides. These details seem small, but they're the difference between an application that kills 95% and one that kills 30% of the population. And speaking of difference, there's something important that confuses a lot of beginners. Not every green caterpillar in your garden is the fall armyworm. Spotoptera frugiperta has a signature mark, an inverted Y on the head, a clear white Y on the front of the head capsule, and 4 black dots forming a square on the second to last body segment. The body color varies from light green when small to brown or grayish-brown as it matures, with 3 pale longitudinal stripes running down the back. These signs together confirm the identification. Without that, you might be looking at a cutworm, a beet armyworm, an inchworm, or another species that needs different management. Applying spinosad on the wrong caterpillar isn't harmful, but it can make you attack a species that had natural control happening on its own. Then you break the balance for nothing. The rule is simple. Identify first, apply second. Another expensive mistake I see all the time in the field, applying spinosad before rain. If it rains in the first 4 hours after spraying, you lose more than half the product. Check the forecast before loading the sprayer. If rain is predicted 3 hours from now, leave it for another day. The ideal window is 24 hours without rain after application. That's when the product has dried, penetrated the leaf tissue, and is protected from washing off. In regions with unpredictable rain, you can add a sticker adjuvant to the tank. It forms a thin film that holds the spinosad even with light rain. But pay attention, the wrong adjuvant destroys the product. Technical literature shows that some common surfactants inactivate up to 80% of the molecule within hours inside the tank. That's why I keep saying it. Without the table of compatible adjuvants, you'll get it wrong. And that table is complete in the reference guide at the link pinned in the description. And then there's the question of spray temperature. Spinosad loses stability in water above 30 degrees Celsius, or about 86 Fahrenheit. On a very hot day, fill the tank with cool tap water early. Apply before the heat of the day hits the sprayer canister hard. If the spray heats up inside the tank while you're spraying water with degraded product. Wrong time, dead product. Simple detail. Makes all the difference in the final result. Everything I showed you here today, the exact dosage tables by crop, the ideal hours by region, the combinations tested in the field, the complete management schedule, the recommended nozzles. It's all organized in the reference guide at the link pinned in the first line of the description. Whoever applies it wrong wastes money and loses the field. Whoever applies it right transforms the garden. The choice is yours. This knowledge has existed for 40 years, but it only just reached small growers. Before, it was restricted to large companies and laboratories. Today, you can buy spinosad at any well-stocked farm supply store. If this vault opened your mind to something today, do one small thing before closing the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, leave a like. It's not for me. It's so the algorithm carries this knowledge to one more grower who is losing the harvest right now without knowing this solution has existed for decades. Share this video with someone you know who needs it, a neighbor, a relative, a friend who has a garden, a farmer who complains that everything is lost. Each share is a garden saved, a harvest that doesn't go to the ground, a family that gets to eat what they planted. I'll see you in the next vault. Until then, plant well. Take care of the soil first, and remember, when the caterpillar comes, now you know what to do.